Imagine waking up in a world where overnight, the price of everything you consume skyrockets without warning. Basic products, electronics, cars, food, everything is more expensive. And the reason? A war that is not fought with tanks or missiles, but with numbers, decrees, and tariffs. A war where the weapons are percentages, and the victims are ordinary consumers like you and me. That is exactly what is happening now, and what you will discover in this video could change the way you view the global economic scenario. In the EU, last few days, a series of events have unfolded behind the scenes of international politics, culminating in a decision that could directly affect your wallet. China, in a surprising move, announced a drastic increase in tariffs on products imported from the United States, raising them to a staggering 125%. This measure is a direct response to recent actions by the American government, which in turn had imposed even higher tariffs on Chinese products. The result? An unprecedented escalation in a years-long trade war that now threatens to destabilize the global economy. But how did we get to this point? To understand this, we need to go back a few years when the United States, under the leadership of a president known for his protectionist policies, began a series of tariffs on Chinese products. The justification was to protect American industry and correct trade imbalances. China, in turn, responded with tariffs of its own, starting a cycle of retaliation that only intensified over time. Recently, this cycle reached a new level. The US government decided to exclude China from a 90-day tariff pause, while maintaining high tariffs on Chinese products. In response, China not only increased its tariffs to 125%, but also announced that it would take the case to the World Trade Organization, accusing the United States of unfair and coercive trade practices. The consequences of this dispute are already visible. Financial markets around the world have reacted with volatility, reflecting fears of a global recession. Companies that depend on trade between the two countries are facing uncertainty, and consumers are already feeling the impact of higher prices in their pockets. In addition, the tension between the world's two largest economies raises concerns about geopolitical stability and the future of international relations. It is important to highlight that this trade war does not only affect the United States and China. Countries around the world, including Brazil, may be impacted by this dispute. The increase in tariffs may lead to a reduction in global trade, affecting exports, jobs, and economic growth in several nations. Given this scenario, the question arises: how far can this escalation go? And more importantly, how can it directly affect your life? In the next section, we will explore the possible consequences of this trade war for ordinary citizens and discuss what can be done to mitigate its effects. While world leaders trade accusations in speeches and conferences, the real impact of the trade war is being felt in the quiet aisles of supermarkets, in the spreadsheets of small businesses, and in the deferred dreams of families struggling to maintain their standard of living. The 125% increase in tariffs on American products by China, combined with the sanctions previously imposed by the United States, creates a shockwave that hits you directly. Even if, at first glance, it seems like a distant dispute between giants, consider a young Brazilian entrepreneur who imports electronic parts from the United States to manufacture home automation equipment. With the soaring tariffs and the rise in the dollar caused by international instability, her production costs suddenly increase. This forces an adjustment in the final prices, driving away customers and reducing the because you are trying to understand. And that already puts you ahead of millions of people who have not yet realized what is happening. If this video opened your eyes in any way, tell me in the comments. How have these changes affected your daily life? What have you noticed in prices, in conversations with friends, at work, in your routine? I really want to hear your experience. And more than that, create a real conversation without cliches about what is happening in the world. And if you found this content important, useful, or at least interesting, consider subscribing to the channel. But it is not just to watch more videos, it is to be part of a community that wants to understand, think, and act. Your presence here is not just another number, it is another conscious mind. And that makes all the difference. So, Subscribe now with an open heart. Let's grow together, learn together, and share this video with someone you know needs to understand what is behind the silent chaos we are experiencing. And before you leave, tell me, what did you learn today? What surprised you the most? Sharing your insights will help others see beyond the surface. This story doesn't end here, it's just beginning, and you're part of it. Competitiveness. It is not alone. Farmers who export soybeans to China, retailers who sell imported products, and even digital platforms that depend on external components are being cornered by this invisible battle. And the common consumer? They feel the effects in an even more subtle and cruel way. The price of imported rice goes up. The cell phone you were thinking of replacing becomes unaffordable. Those international brand sneakers cost twice as much. All of this is the result of a complex chain of retaliation and uncertainty. And while this is happening, the political elite of both countries continues their disputes, seemingly oblivious to the fact that millions of people are paying the bill for the instability they have created. But there is something even more profound happening, a transformation in the role that nations play on the global stage. China, which has consolidated itself as an economic powerhouse over the past 20 years, is beginning to reposition its trade strategy with a focus on autonomy and alternative alliances. The United States, on the other hand, is increasingly demonstrating a nationalist stance that prioritizes its domestic interests, even if that means breaking international agreements and facing sanctions. And in this tug of war, other nations such as Brazil have the chance and the challenge of finding opportunities amidst the chaos. Negotiating with both sides, diversifying trade relations, and investing in innovation are possible paths, but they require political courage and strategic vision. We are facing a moment that could shape the coming decades. It is not just about tariffs and economic charts. It is about the direction the world will take. Now I want to invite you to reflect on something much bigger. What is the role of each of us in this scenario? Understanding what is behind price, increases, the rise of the dollar, and the decisions of world leaders is the first step to not being just a piece on the board. It is time to wake up. If you have come this far, it is